watching Morning at NTV.
A very good morning to the Kasanda woman MP, that is Flavia Nabagabe. Yes, she belongs to the National Unity Platform Party. She sent me a message yesterday condoling me and telling me to be strong, and those members of the NMG who are still blanketed in sorrow, grieving over the death of Sabiti Magembe. Yes, our colleague who was knocked dead yesterday along along Mubende Kampala Highway by a speeding new car, white in color. It did not have any registration number plates. It did not have any side mirrors. But after we got into that car, we noticed that there were knives, there were machetes. Yes, there were actually metals within that car, meaning this was an assassination. Well, I got a message from her, and thank you very much, but not from other politicians, like the president of this country, Andrew Kaggwa. Mr. President, how come you haven't sent me a message or put up any message on your social media actually commiserating with the family of Sabiti Magembe? It is really, really important when your leaders actually pass on, you come out strongly to actually commiserate with their families. We also see you stand in solidarity with the journalists in that regard. A very good morning to you, Mr. President. Also, we would like to talk about the nightlife in this country that has been halted for close to 18 months. The people have been grappling the most. So we want to talk about the ramifications of this nightlife economy that was contributing greatly to our country, Uganda. What are those ramifications? We are now joined by Andrew Kaggwa, an arts and culture journalist with the Daily Monitor. He's not alone. He's now joined by the president of the Federation of Small and Medium-Sized Enterprises, John Walugembe, with whom we are going to be dissecting this very contentious subject. 455 billion was put in UDB for the small and medium-sized enterprises, but that money did not trickle down to the SMEs. It went to big business. It went to the erecting of malls within the city, CBD, so that money did not trickle down to the SMEs. The President Museveni later on earmarked 100 billion Uganda shillings that would go to the SMEs, and 100 billion more would come from other stakeholders. In total, that would have been 200 billion Uganda shillings. The nightlife economy was contributing greatly or hugely to our economy. We are talking about bouncers. We are talking about waitresses, artists, musicians during concerts. During a concert, when the musicians are singing and people, are having a good time, there's someone who is offering some food. The guy who is offering the chicken service, the guy who is offering the fizzy drinks, the refreshments, and so forth. You have those waitresses, the waiters. It was a very, very big conglomerate of people who are actually making a living off of the nightlife economy. But now with the COVID-19 pandemic and the measures we put in place, like the curfew, yes, they've gone a long way in actually dampening the resolve of the people who are actually making a living in this economy to actually go ahead to continue surviving. So what are the ramifications of this? We have the two gentlemen ready to divulge those details. A very good morning, John and Andrew. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning. It
is a Super Friday, but then, issues that are plaguing the country do not rest simply because it's a Farahi day. So here we are, John Walugembe. The nightlife, what are the ramifications of, stopping this economy in the night that has been actually helping so many people?
Okay, so first of all, I want to say that the night, I would look at it as the night business ecosystem. Yeah. Because sometimes when you say the nightlife, people think these are lifeists who just want to go and have a good time. Okay, it's a business ecosystem.
But even then, as they have a good time, they are spending hugely.
Correct. It drives consumption because part of the challenge with this pandemic is that it has hit consumption. People are not willing to spend.
Because of
and if people are not willing to spend, the economy can't really pick up. So what government has been trying to do is to intervene both on the supply side, making sure that people are able to supply, but also on the demand side to ensure that people are able to consume. And as long as all those night businesses are not reopened, we are always going to have an issue with consumption. You see, some people will spend more when they are drunk. But whether they are drunk or not, that's a moral issue. The point is it's helping this economy to run. Secondly, we also want to say that we recognize government's position, and particularly in this pandemic season that we are in, that there is a genuine risk of the pandemic picking up because of this ecosystem being reopened. But you can put safeguards in place, just like we are doing for schools, just like we are doing for other places. We are considering the reopening of so many things. The airport has been reopened. We are saying as people come in, they are retested. So why don't we put in place some form of SOPs that will ensure that we minimize the spread of COVID-19 while allowing these businesses to pick up. Remember, don't just look at the person who owns the bar. Look at the person who supplies them food, the farmer. Look at the person who transports that food.
Because there's a restaurant and a bar.
There's a restaurant and a bar. Look at the beer companies that pay a lot of tax. Look at the soft drink companies. Look at all these things. Look at the people who call each other, the airtime and all these things. So I think we need to look at it more broadly and say, if we want this economy to recover fast, then what should we do to ensure that this nightlife business ecosystem reopens, but in a safe way. We don't want to appear to be saying, no, we don't care about COVID. We do care about COVID, but we are saying COVID shouldn't allow our economy to go down the drain. Let's find a way of ensuring that the economy keeps running while keeping safe.
And help us address the president's concerns. The president says that people who are involved within the nightlife, to be bored, drunken people cannot actually social distance. Is this true?
You see, the president doesn't take alcohol, so I don't know how he would know.
So is the president biased when it comes to the nightlife?
That's a moral position. We may not like what the person, I don't take alcohol, but I wouldn't say that there's proof that alcoholics are more prone to contracting COVID-19. So obviously it would be more difficult to control a drunk person. But as I said, we can't assume that the nightlife is about getting drunk. There are many people who are engaged in that nightlife ecosystem.
Service providers.
And so we shouldn't really bundle them as drunkards, because if you look at it that way, then it's really very narrow kind of focus.
All right, we also do have Andrew Kaggwa, an arts and culture journalist with the Daily Monitor. He's well grounded when it comes to these issues. I did call Ms. Andrew Kaggwa yesterday, and we did have a chat for over 40 minutes about the same subject, the nightlife. My comrade, before I do preempt, we did have a discussion over this last evening, and we were talking about how crucial the entertainment industry is to the nightlife. How worse has the situation deteriorated?
I think one of the very first things I have to say is that I've had the president talk about drunkards, and one of the things that keeps coming to my mind is the president is trying to be a Christian where he's not.
So this is a moral issue on his part.
Yeah, if people get drunk and they do not social distance, so what? Like, I think that was supposed to be a concern in 2020 when the virus was new. We were all scared about this. Like in 2021, people are talking about vaccinating others and at least ensuring that they have this 70% or something vaccinated. I think by the last time I remember, Uganda had not bought a single vaccine, like not even one. So the reason why we are not open now is totally out of our control, but in their control, those who have refused to buy the vaccines or who are not able to buy the vaccines. But anyway, talking about the creative economy, which always hurts me very much when people decide to call it the entertainment industry, because
they limit it.
They limit it a lot. Like we
to musicians,
we are
the
people,
whole creative.
We are people that employ a lot of people. Most of the times when
break them down.
When I go to the cinema, I'll tell you that I will stay in until the last credit is up, because when you're watching a movie, like all you're seeing are actors, a few extras, but when that film is done, they will take up the names and then you will see the cast. Most of the times those might be about 30 people, including the extras and everything, and then you start seeing all these people that fed off this film, and that's when you see people that worked as chefs, the drivers, someone who worked on sound. Like you'll see a very big group of people that worked on this piece that you've seen in 2 hours. When you go to a concert, most of the people will go to a concert to see an artist. And what you see on stage is an artist and a 6-piece band. In Uganda, most of the times we use a 6-piece band. And that's the guitarist, the lead guitarist. He has a bassist. You'll be so lucky if someone has a violinist. Like those are a bit exotic, but yeah, you go with a 6-piece band. Those are the people you see on stage. Besides those 6, there is a whole group of people that's benefiting from them being on stage. Someone is dressing that artist. Someone built that stage. Someone is responsible for the lights. Someone is preparing food. They are not on stage, but they are the ones that brought the food that the people that are happy are going to eat. Someone brought the drinks, like someone did the banners, someone did that graphics. All these people are benefiting because a one chameleon has decided to have a concert. So most of the times when people are talking about the art industry and they're looking at the losses, they tend to look at the one chameleon who is not on stage. At times they don't even look at the person who is playing guitars for him. They do not know that before the show he had to rehearse and he had to hire a space where he rehearsed from, so that person who owns that space actually made money when this thing was all going. So most of the times people miss the ecosystem, that's the creative economy. But that's how big it can go, and I don't even think I've mentioned just half of the people that are involved. It's usually a very big team.
How much was this industry contributing to our GDP as a country? Do we have even any data in this regard?
That's usually the problem. Our industry is not mapped at all. And I could still go and blame our leaders for the reason why we are not mapped, because one, we have a ministry under the Ministry of Gender. It has a very long name. Like most of the times you will forget the
I would
other
blame
things
them. They don't even know how many vulnerable people there are in Uganda. So how can they know how much the artists are contributing?
We are under the Ministry of Gender, and the ministry should be in position to have the data about the people they are leading. In a way, they should have the data of how many artists they like. The last time I was talking to someone from UPRS, and UPRS is just dealing with artists, I wanted to know how many Ugandan artists have subscribed to UPRS, and I noticed they have about 3,000. It's around 3,000, but for them, the reason why the numbers are that few is because of the bad image UPRS had before the new board came in. So many people were reluctant to join. But I learned they had about 3,000 that had subscribed. And you're thinking, okay, just the number is just at 3,000, but you and I know that
can't be the reality.
Yeah, that can be the reality.
Andrew Kaggwa, do you think the absence of the data is the reason why we haven't seen a stimulus package for this group of people who are engaged in the nightlife?
If I was talking to an artist, I would say that.
The waitresses.
If I was talking to an artist, I would say that, because I usually tell them they've not made their case. And when I say they've not made their case, like you see, it's easy for farmers to come up with one of their associations and they present data like, yeah, in this year we did this much, like coffee did this much, and the numbers are there, like the numbers are there. As singular artists, I believe you can be in position to know how much you've actually contributed to this industry. I have very many friends that are running galleries, and when you see the number of galleries, like their numbers of money coming in and money going out, like you'll be so shocked. Like you'll be shocked that some people literally come into this country specifically to buy art, to shop art, take it to New York and probably sell it at a profit. You'll be shocked how many people are doing, like, is it called like Kayungirizi, or visual art just in Kampala alone. So some people have the data, but why it's not captured at a national level, that I could say, one, it comes out of goodwill and it comes out of ignorance at times. Ignorance that people do not believe this is an industry. Like we were talking earlier, I said many of our parents, like the people that are leading us, are either our grandfathers or our fathers' generations. And these are people that believed art is nothing. I can tell you, like, I think until I won my very first journalism award, my mom was still telling me, but you should consider law. Like,
Father was always saying they'll kill you. Well, it happened to Sabiti Magembe. Rest in peace.
So we have this generation that's leading us, and they do not believe in this industry. And because they do not believe in it, they've not taken the time to try and understand it, or try and understand how they can actually help this industry.
So there is no goodwill, in a nutshell. That's what you're telling us.
There is
for
no
these
goodwill,
leaders actually
and when it comes to the
bars and
government,
everyone
it became
concerned with the
worse
nightlife.
that this industry produced Bobby Wine. Like, we cannot run away from that. The industry produced Bobby Wine, and the little goodwill that would have existed totally disappeared.
All right. John Walugembe, many of these SMEs who are actually related to the nightlife have been under lock and key for close to 18 months since the bars are now closed. There's also been a loan provision for them, the SMEs. Wouldn't it be futile or useless in that regard for them to actually receive this money if they are not operating in any way?
Okay, before I address that question, I thought I should play devil's advocate a bit. Because you see, artists, I think, have been also attracting a lot of attention, but maybe musicians, maybe that's what you guys. Because there have been a lot of visits to Gulu to meet General Saleh, and most of these have been musicians. Some have had houses bought for them, some have had cars bought for them. The president has appointed a number of presidential advisors, from Butcherman to who. So what is clear is that this sector has a lot of power. And I don't think it would be valid to say that government completely ignored them. I think the issue is what kind of influence and you're talking about the entire creative sector, but now particularly the musicians. How are they using? How best are they using their power in order to ensure that they get things? I don't know if you understand.
We are trying to follow along.
How do they use their power?
Because this is not largely about musicians. When they do not hold concerts, the person who was providing those small services like fizzy drinks, the refreshments, the SMEs are also being affected.
No, I agree, and my position is that my position is that how can we ensure that within that sector, the creative sector, the musicians and all these people, that they have a unified
voice?
That they have a unified
not these associations that were splintered and were going to go talking to Saleh in their individual minds.
That's my whole point. Because if you're being splintered and all you're looking at are individual interests, not knowing that you have an entire
But John, you
ecosystem.
represent the Federation of Small and Medium-Sized Enterprises. You are the voice for the SMEs, but we do know money was put into UDB, money that did not trickle down to the SMEs. Even though they did have a unified voice, which is you, they did not receive any of this money.
Exactly, and that's why we are saying, look, 455 billion shillings having put in UDB to help SMEs. The fact that we didn't have SMEs benefiting was a tragedy.
Indeed.
In our view.
Indeed.
And we've told UDB that, we've told government that, and we are happy that UDB has been reconsidering.
Yes.
They are saying they are going to launch a new strategy, and we are happy to work closely with them to ensure that that strategy is rolled out. For many years, the SME sector had the same issues. And every time government officials would say, no, but these people are disorganized, we don't know whom to talk to, we don't know how to do this, and so on. So I guess my point is, because this sector is very, very important, as we've agreed.
Yes.
Because we are not just looking at the musician chameleon, we are looking at the people who depend on him.
Yes.
Just like you have said.
Indeed.
The food vendor,
ecosystem.
the transporter, the so on and so forth. So if you get an opportunity to speak to public officials, don't just speak for yourself. Try to know that all these people that depend on you, if you're not able to perform, the 1,000 people that depend on you are affected. Okay? So for me, that ability to articulate consistently and say, this is our position. We need our sector reopened. We want to ensure that we agree on SOPs that are able to allow us. I think it's extremely, extremely
Do you really think there is goodwill from these politicians? Because you do have a sector that is largely grappling. These individuals for 18 months have not been working. And then this is what you do on July 1st. You institute a set of new taxes on the same SMEs to actually choke them and just kill them. Is that something that someone who cares would do, John Walugembe?
I think the government is stranded. I would say this because with this pandemic, you need money to address it. But the very places where we're supposed to get the money.
Shouldn't we be supporting you as SME so that we get more money from you?
That's the whole point. That's what I'm saying. The business environment has to become better.
I see.
To ensure that businesses, it's easy to set up a business. B, it's able to you're able to grow business. It's tempting to impose more taxes on small businesses in the short term.
Yes.
But just imposing a higher tax on a business does not necessarily result in you getting more money. Okay? So my view is the issue is consumption here, and that's my major point. The creative economy is extremely important in order to revitalize the economy. Principally, we are not helping them, we're not doing them a favor.
Indeed.
They are helping all these other guys. They're helping the trader, they're helping the transporter, they're helping the retailer. So if you keep them closed for prolonged periods of time, the economy cannot genuinely get back on its feet.
That is John Walugembe, the president of the Federation of Small and Medium-Sized Enterprises. We should state it unequivocally, clearly, that the government of this country has not done anything for the nightlife for the small and medium-sized enterprises. When you smear the problem with Vaseline, John Walugembe, there won't be any money coming into your pocket.
No, they've done, honestly, they've done something. Yes. It's not, I wouldn't say it's 100%, but they've tried.
All right, John Walugembe, fair enough. Let's also bring in Andrew Kaggwa. Would you beg to differ with this submission? And also let's talk about the alternative sources of income that we discussed yesterday. Shouldn't it be wise for our artists, the creatives in this industry, to actually switch to another, maybe profession in that regard? Because 18 months they've been under lock and key. Shouldn't they be talking about alternative sources of income? And there's also another worry that we might lose professionals as we move on to this pandemic, as they switch to different careers.
One of the things I had that came from Gulu. Okay, like the very first thing I wanted to say was actually, I wanted to know what the government has actually done, because I do not know what they've done. But yeah, one of the things that I had was going on in Gulu. Yes. I heard that people went and they were taught, like they were taught on how to diversify and do other things besides music, which I find very, like, which camera do I look in when I'm being mean?
Number 3.
Number 3.
Please go ahead.
Yeah, which I find very stupid.
Go ahead.
One, there is a reason why people decided to become artists and not teachers. There is a reason why someone decided to become a teacher and not a farmer.
Passion.
There is that passion, there is that burning desire. Like, I mean, by the time I became a journalist, I knew all the problems around journalism, but I still became a journalist anyway. Even
in the pandemic, you still are a journalist.
Yes, I'm still a journalist. When you try to solve a problem by asking people to get away and do other things because there is a problem, you're not helping anything. I mean, how do we...
Andrew Kaggwa, let's not just talk too much about this subject. We do have creatives that have been doing the most. You gave me a clip. Can we show it to the viewer so that they can be in the know?
Yeah, of course, yeah. Of course,
people who have been resilient and refused to switch.
Just to finish this, when you ask people to switch, what if they switch to those other fields,
which will also be affected by the pandemic?
Another pandemic comes and affects those? Will you ask them to switch again? Like that's you telling me that you're failing, and so you're asking people to run away from their problems.
Introduce these creatives who have been adamant not to make those switches.
However, I'm very happy that regardless of what's going on, people are still making art. Like filmmakers, you see, cinemas have been closed for a very long time, but filmmakers are still resilient. They are making films.
And there is demand for more.
And there is demand for more. People are watching much of this content on YouTube. In fact, yesterday a friend of mine, Luke Manali, debuted his short film. It's called 16 Rounds. I wish the director could show us the trailer of that, because it's an amazing film and people should go and watch it on YouTube.
All right, let's play that clip. Daniel Sabachije.
Suppose you said if I get evidence that she's cheating, she gets nothing.
That's what the lawyer said. But if you ask me, option A is still the best.
Amazing, amazing stuff. John Walugembe, can this industry actually be neglected? Do we actually have the audacity to neglect this industry?
We completely cannot afford to neglect this. It's not a separate sector.
I see.
It's an ecosystem. And that's why I'm insisting that, yes, you have supplies. People are working during the day. But this part of the economy was driving a lot of the consumption and the demand. Okay? So my view is, let's find a way of reopening it in a safe way. I would like to also highlight again that we've, as the Federation, when we were negotiating with government for this additional money, you know, previously government's intervention have had particular sectors that they focused on. The difference is that this one is open-ended. Anyone can apply for this money. And we made sure that the conditions are affordable at interest that doesn't exceed 10%. So when we met the officials, what I'm telling, because what most of the organizers need to appreciate that there are bureaucrats who make the decisions, then there are the politicians. The bureaucrats understand the situation. And in our engagement, you would see that they saw that this is a problem and it will be a problem long term. So what I'm saying is, let's allow the minister to announce this 200 billion package. Let's see how it works. If it goes the UDB way, we'll come back here. I'll be the first to say, you guys, you took us for a ride. But before that happens, my view is let's give them a chance. They've made a proposal. They'll announce the conditions soon. Anyone, even in the creative industry, can apply for this money. And
all right, thank you very much, John. Andrew, do you think the economy can be revived without the input of the nightlife? And also, how best can we help these artists who have been resilient enough not to make those switches to market their products or their, you know, creative work to the international community?
One of the things, I'll start with marketing, because I have a lot of things running out in my mind. But with the marketing, I think one, we need better policies. Like, I don't know how someone woke up and thought to themselves that we need a 12% on internet. Like I do not know in this day and era how someone wakes up and is like, wow, I have a brilliant idea, we can get more taxes, let's put it on internet.
So you're killing the dancer who is not making any money because of the closure of the bars and would have made some money on the internet.
At the moment, the internet is one of the easiest ways a youth is going to get employed, because the creative economy, which has been closed for now, we are getting into 2 years, is the biggest employer of the youth.
True.
And that youth doesn't even have to be an artist.
All right.
Like, they just have to be doing something around the industry. Personally, I'm a journalist who was under a lot because I'm part of this creative industry. So if we are going to revive this industry, we cannot revive it without the creative economy. And we have to accept that the creative economy mostly operates at night and people have to converge. So what do we have to do? We have to get people vaccinated. We have to buy vaccines. This whole issue of waiting for people to give us 1,400,000 and what, we have to buy vaccines.
So we need a sustainable resolution to this problem. That is long term. Andrew Kaggwa, an arts and culture journalist with the Daily Monitor. John Walugembe, president of the Federation of Small and Medium-Sized Enterprises. This is a very fruitful conversation. Thank you very much. Those individuals who have been under lock and key for 18 months have been watching and are glad that someone is talking about this very pertinent situation. Thank you very much. All right. We are going to go for a very short break, but more information is in the pipeline for you. We'll be right back. Keep it here.